Welcome, everyone, to China True Story. I'm Leo, and I'll be guiding you through today's story.
And I'm Sophie.
Okay, so for this deep dive, we're looking at a really a deeply tragic case from China back in 2014. It's a story that really centers on, well, a mother's unimaginable sacrifice.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. We've pulled together various accounts, sources that detail the crime itself, the police investigation that followed, which was pretty extensive, and also the perpetrator's own confession, which is chilling.
Right. So our mission today, what we want to do is walk you through the stark details of what happened, try to understand the layers of the investigation, how they pieced it together, and maybe most importantly, explore this incredible, just heartbreaking act of a mother protecting her child.
And the detail from the sources that it really sticks with you is this. You have a young mother. She's alone late at night. Her little daughter is asleep nearby. An intruder breaks in.
Yeah.
And she makes a choice that costs her everything, her life, but it potentially saves her daughter. And her final words, apparently, to the attacker were a plea to keep quiet. Like, specifically, don't wake my daughter. Let's get into how this unfolded.
Okay. So this scene, it's Guangdong, which is a county in Anhui Province, China. This is October 2014. We're talking about the home of Ding Zhaoyue. She was 28. Her husband, Mr. Zhang. He's a long-haul truck driver, so he's often away.
Right, away for work.
And their young daughter. So on this night, October 26th, Mr. Zhang was out on the road, driving his truck like usual.
And the horror really starts early the next morning, October 27th. It's about 3 a.m. Mr. Zhang gets this frantic call from a relative, a close female relative living nearby. The source uses the term otu, which could be an aunt, maybe mother-in-law.
But someone close by.
Exactly, someone nearby. And the message is just devastating. The little girl had woken up, couldn't find her mom, and had gone crying next door to this relative's house.
Oh, wow. So naturally, Mr. Zhang must have just panicked. He tries calling his wife, can't get through.
Right, no answer.
So he turns his truck around immediately, drives through the night, just heading straight home.
He gets there around 4 a.m., and you can imagine his fear just skyrockets almost instantly. He walks in, and the first thing he sees, his wife's phone, sitting there.
On the dining table.
Yeah, why would she leave without her phone? That makes no sense. So he starts searching the house, obviously frantic.
And that search leads him downstairs to the bathroom. And what does he find there?
Something terrible. The bathroom window is broken, and not just the glass, the anti-theft bars. They're forced, damaged. It's clear someone broke in that way.
So his worst fears are being confirmed step by step.
Exactly. He keeps searching downstairs, and then he opens the door to the utility room, and that's where he finds her, his wife's body.
Holy hell.
Naked, bloody, deceased. It's the most horrifying discovery imaginable.
Unbelievable. So the police are called straight away.
Immediately. They arrive, secure the scene. They quickly identify the victim as Ding Zhaoyue. Forensics comes in. They determine she likely died around 11 p.m. the night before, October 26th. And tragically, yes, she had been sexually assaulted.
And initially, it looked like maybe a burglary gone wrong.
That was the first thought, yeah. There was a locked drawer in that same utility room. It had been pried open, and cash was missing. So burglary seems plausible.
But then there's this detail that doesn't quite add up, right? The daughter.
Exactly. The daughter was home the whole time, upstairs. But she was found completely undisturbed, slept through the whole thing apparently, and there were no signs of a struggle, not in the bedroom where the mother and daughter were.
So that makes the police think, okay, wait a minute. Why no struggle? Did she know the attacker? Is that why she didn't fight back? Or something else?
And this is where the source offers a really interesting insight. The police didn't just dismiss the lack of struggle. They reportedly looked at the lack of resistance and the undisturbed child together.
As potential evidence.
As potential evidence that the mother, Ding Zhaoyue, might have chosen not to resist. That she deliberately complied with the attacker to protect her child who was right there, sleeping.
Wow, so they considered her motive, her protection of her child, right from the start.
It seems so. It wasn't just about the crime, but about her actions within that terrifying moment. Child safety as a factor in her response.
Okay, so the initial idea might be burglary, maybe someone known, but interviews in the village, they don't really go anywhere.
Right. The family was well-liked, no known enemies. They weren't rich, so it wasn't likely a big planned robbery for high stakes. Leads just dried up inside the house and with immediate neighbors.
So the police have to broaden their search, look further afield.
Exactly. They start meticulously searching the area outside the house. And this is where they get their first big break. The crucial turning point.
What did they find?
Climbing marks. On a big iron gate right next to the house. It looked like someone had scaled that gate to get into the alleyway that led around to the back, maybe towards that bathroom window.
Okay, so that's the entry route.
Potentially. And right near those climbing marks, they find something small, easy to miss, but incredibly important. A half-smoked cigarette butt.
Cigarette butt. Okay, how does that become the key? I mean, people drop cigarettes.
DNA, that's the key. They test the butt, and the DNA from the saliva on it matches male DNA found on the victim.
Wow, okay, direct link.
Direct link. And the brand of cigarette was interesting, too. It was local, but according to the source, it was a brand more commonly smoked by migrant workers, people maybe working temporarily in the area, not necessarily the long-term village residents.
So that widens the suspect pool again, shifts the focus away from just the immediate community.
Absolutely. It changes the direction of the investigation. Now they're looking for potentially an outsider.
Okay, so they have DNA, they have a cigarette brand. How do they connect that to a person?
This is just solid police work. They start checking nearby shops, corner stores, anywhere that sells that specific brand, and they find a small supermarket that has surveillance cameras.
Bingo.
They start reviewing the footage, and they find it. Evening of the murder, October 26th, 8:24 p.m. There's a man on camera buying that exact brand of cigarettes.
Did you look suspicious?
Nervous. Apparently not. The source says the purchase looked totally routine, like he was probably a regular customer. So the police think, okay, let's check earlier footage.
Good idea.
And they find the same guy just a few days before, October 23rd, buying cigarettes again. And this time, crucially, they can see which way he walks when he leaves the shop.
Ah, so they can track his path.
Exactly. Using other street surveillance cameras, following that direction, they manage to spot him riding a motorcycle. And they get the license plate, BU1071.
That's the breakthrough.
That's the direct link they needed. The plate is registered to a Mr. Tang. He owns a couple of auto repair shops over in Yixing, which is in Jiangsu province nearby.
Okay.
Police show Mr. Tang the surveillance footage. He immediately identifies the man. Says, yeah, that's my employee, Guan Hanbing.
And Mr. Tang adds something else, doesn't he? Something that makes Guan Hanbing look even more suspicious.
He really does. He tells the police that Guan Hanbing just up and vanished a few days ago. Didn't say goodbye, didn't give notice, and crucially, didn't collect his wages. Over 10,000 yuan.
Wow, that's a lot of money to just leave behind.
Especially for someone like him, an employee. Mr. Tang said it was totally out of character. It just screams that he was fleeing something, a huge red flag.
So the manhunt is officially on for Guan Hanbing. They check his home address, nothing. Family says they don't know where he is. His phone's switched off.
He's gone dark, so the police start digging into online records. They find a recent hotel stay, but it's way down south in Guangzhou, a huge city.
So he traveled far.
Very far. Then they find more recent activity, internet cafe logins in Shenzhen, which is even further south near Hong Kong.
Okay, so he's still using public internet cafes. That's trackable.
Exactly. That's their lead. They figure out which internet cafe he last used in Shenzhen, and they stake it out. They wait.
Patience pays off.
It does. On November 11th, 2014, so this is about 2 weeks after the murder, Guan Hanbing walks back into that internet cafe. The police move in, arrest him. They transport him all the way back to Guangdong.
And what happens then? Does he confess quickly?
Not initially. He denies everything at first. But the police have the DNA evidence from the cigarette. They have the surveillance footage. They have his boss's statement about him fleeing. Confronted with all that,
Yeah.
he breaks.
He confesses.
He confesses. And his stated motive is it's shocking because it sounds so mundane, so disproportionate to the horror he caused.
What did he say?
He claimed it wasn't really planned, not revenge, not even initially about robbery, he said. He told the police it was basically an impulse, triggered because he was in a bad mood.
An impulse. But wait, he checked for the truck? He climbed a gate? He broke a window? That sounds like more than just a sudden whim.
And that's the really chilling contradiction in his story, isn't it? He blames impulse, but his actions involve, planning and calculation. Let's look at what he said happened. He used to work right there as an apprentice in the repair shop under Ding Zhaoyue's apartment.
So he knew the family.
Knew the family, knew Mr. Zhang was a truck driver, knew his schedule, or at least knew that if the truck wasn't there, Mr. Zhang was likely away. He specifically checked for the truck that night.
Okay. So October 26th. He says he's in a bad mood. Why?
He claimed there was an argument at home between his wife and his mother-in-law. He'd been drinking some alcohol with his brother-in-law, drove him home.
And then didn't want to go back to his own place.
Said he didn't want to face the tension, so he just drove around, bought those cigarettes we know about. And then he sees Mr. Zhang's truck isn't parked outside the apartment building. And that's when he claims the impulse hit him to break into Ding Zhaoyue's home.
Just like that.
Just like that, according to him. He described how he did it, climbed the gate next door, went through the alley, broke in via that bathroom window exactly as the police found. Then he went into the kitchen, grabbed a knife,
Oh, God.
went upstairs, found Ding Zhaoyue in the bedroom, apparently watching TV. Her daughter was asleep in the same room.
Right there.
Right there. He said when Ding Zhaoyue cried out, he covered her mouth. And then he threatened her. Threatened to harm her daughter if she resisted or made noise.
And this is the moment. This confirms what the police suspected early on.
It does. Facing that threat, the ultimate threat to her child, Ding Zhaoyue reportedly stopped resisting immediately. The source really emphasizes this. She became fully cooperative to protect her daughter.
Just heartbreaking compliance.
Utterly. He then forced her into a side bedroom where he sexually assaulted her. Afterwards, maybe she thought it was over, that he'd leave them alone now. But he didn't.
He demanded money.
Yeah. Then he demanded money. And again, she complied. She took him downstairs to the utility room, showed him the drawer where they kept some cash.
He takes the money. And then
he makes the final awful decision. He decided he couldn't let her live. She could identify him, she'd report him. So after taking the money, he killed her. Right there in the utility room.
And it's here, in these final moments, that we hear about her last words.
Yes. The source and accounts of the case confirm this detail. As he was attacking her, about to kill her, her last words whispered to him were, "Keep it down, don't wake my daughter."
Just, even then, even facing death, her only thought was protecting her child's peace, her child's sleep.
It's almost impossible to comprehend that level of selfless focus.
Yeah.
In the midst of pure terror and violence against her, her priority remained her daughter, an incredible, tragic act of maternal protection.
So Guan Hanbing fled after that, headed south, tried to disappear.
Tried to disappear, but the police work was just too good. That cigarette butt, the DNA match, the surveillance footage tracking, the license plate, the boss's report about him fleeing, it all connected.
They built the case piece by piece.
Relentlessly. It led them straight to him in that internet cafe in Shenzhen. He was arrested, brought back, he confessed. And the outcome?
He was found guilty, sentenced to death for intentional homicide. That was June 11th, 2015.
Yeah. And the source makes a point to note that despite his claim of impulse, he had so many chances to stop. Breaking in, confronting her, the assault, taking the money, the final act. At every single stage, he could have made a different choice. But he didn't.
It's such a difficult story to process, a tragedy really driven by one person's terrible decision, fueled by whatever darkness was in him, this claimed impulse. But it's forever marked, isn't it, by the victim's incredible courage. Ding Zhaoyue's absolute focus on her child's safety above everything else.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? As you listen to this, what stands out most to you? Is it the police work, the speed and precision of tracking him down from basically a piece of trash, a cigarette butt?
Or maybe it's the terrifying randomness of it, the idea that a bad mood could be the trigger, the supposed trigger, for such horror.
Or is it just that profound, heartbreaking strength that Ding Zhaoyue showed, her focus in those final, terrible moments?
The source highlights those multiple chances Guan Hanbing had to stop. What does that tell us about that line between a fleeting bad thought, an impulse, and deliberate repeated actions? The devastating cost when someone chooses to act on that impulse, not just once, but again and again.
And maybe think about that stark contrast, the sheer chaos and brutality of the crime, the break-in, the assault, the murder, the robbery, and then, set against that, the victim's final words. A quiet, desperate plea focused only on her daughter's sleep, her daughter's peace. It's an image that really captures the essence of that selfless love, tragically shown in her very last seconds.
If you found this exploration compelling, even though it was tough, please do subscribe to our channel, China True Story. We cover a whole range of topics, true crime like this, social issues, urban legends, cultural insights.
Yeah, we've got more deep dives lined up, and we're already working on the next one, so definitely stay tuned.
And hey, if you have your own true stories, or perhaps strange things you've come across here in China that you think would make for a good deep dive, please reach out. We'd genuinely love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Your stories could be our next exploration.
All right, that's all from us for this session. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, everyone.